video, I'm doing probably my most requested thing that people ask me to make all the time, which would be bread. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this cookbook is the best if you want to get into bread making, you don't know how to do it. I mean, this book right here is like golden because at the beginning of it, it really teaches you all of the different slang, you know, how flours work, how yeast rises. I mean, just like everything you can find in this book, and then all of the recipes in this book are amazing. So we'll just be making the Saturday white bread. I'm gonna go let my dog out again, and then we'll come back and do ingredients. Another reason I love this recipe so much is because it is 4 simple ingredients that most people have around their house. So flour, water, salt, and yeast. And that is literally the only thing that you need. I'll be using a combination of bread flour and regular all-purpose flour just because I think I'm going to run out of all-purpose flour. But you can literally use 100% all-purpose. And then I'm just using bottled water because I don't really like our tap water. So let's get started. So for this bread, we'll have a few different steps. And the first one will be our combination of flour and water. So we're going to start with 7 3/4 cups of flour and 3 1/8 cup of warm water. You don't want it hot and you don't want it cold. So we're just gonna go pop this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. And we'll start measuring out our flour. You really want the flour to be as even as possible for this recipe. I'm not going to get my scale out. There are scale conversions in here. Not doing that today. So just make sure that you get it as even as possible. You'll also notice that I'm using the biggest bowl I have for this because when it puffs up, it will be the size of this bowl. We're 3 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and the other 4 cups I'm just going to use just regular white bread. Mommy's busy. They're quite spoiled. Awesome. So, there we have all of our flour. I'm gonna let my dogs in and grab the water. So basically all you do is pour your water right over the flour. I'm going to give it a quick mix. You don't want to mix it fully, and I'll show you what it looks like after I give it a little turn. And then we're going to let this rest for 25 to 30 minutes, which means I'm going to go do a load of laundry and I'll be back. Awesome. So you kind of want this to be like a shaggy mass is basically what you want it to look like. Awesome. So I'll give you a quick little insight on that. So that is what that dough is going to look like after you just barely mix it. Now, I'm going to pop the lid on this baby, put it on top of the refrigerator because that's a nice warm space, set a 25-minute timer, and I'll be back. I'm back. It's been about 25-30 minutes and our dough is nice and rested. So now, on to our next step, which will be salt and yeast. We're going to add 1 tablespoon plus 1 scant teaspoon of salt, and we'll just sprinkle it over the top. I cannot talk today. Didn't know what's wrong with me. So we'll just sprinkle that over. And this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so if anyone's like, why are you putting 2 of those in there? So we'll do a full half, and then we'll just do a little bit less. So scant means less. Next, we need 1 teaspoon of yeast. and I just use the Fleischmann's Active Dry Original, Fleischmann's, however you say it. We're just gonna do 1 teaspoon, and just like the salt, you sprinkle it on over the top. So this next step is extremely, extremely important, and this is what you do. You're gonna wash your hands really well because we're going to be in there like kneading it, you know, really hands-on. You wanna make sure you take all your jewelry off because it will get disgusting. I actually had like a diamond pop out. Luckily I found it. So I've tried to be mindful of taking things off before I do anything. So I'll move all of this stuff. I'm going to get a better angle for you guys on this bowl, and then we'll get to kneading. Okay, I think this is a better angle on this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get my hand wet. Now, this is so your hand doesn't really stick to this. So basically we're gonna do like a little scooping and folding method. And I also like to turn the bowl while I'm doing it. It says the process should take about 5 minutes. You kind of want a smooth dough to form, and you want all of the salt and yeast to get mixed up in there. And you can keep re-wetting your hand, so I'm gonna go and re-wet it again because you can see the flour is sticking to my hand. Give her another. So we're starting to get a little bit of resistance from it, which means the gluten is getting stronger. You don't ever really want to tear it. You don't want to like sit here and rip it. So I mean, you can, I'm pinching it right now and you can just tell how the structure is building. Awesome. So I'm gonna call that a day. I'm gonna call that quits. So now what we're going to do, put our lid on, and we're gonna wait 10 minutes for it to rest, and we'll come back and mix it again. Warning, this process takes a while, so see you here in a minute. I'm back. It's been 10 minutes. We've let our dough rest a little bit. I'm going to wet my hand again to prevent sticking. Give it a couple folds. And after this one, I'm going to let it rest for an hour and a half. And by this time, your dough, after the hour and a half, should spread out, you know, kind of be all over the bowl. And that's when we'll do another step. Actually, after an hour and a half, we'll fold it again. So, got this baby looking good. It's a nice little, you can tell it's stuck together. Give it a little whack. It's very, you can tell it's live. It's alive because it's very elastic. Okay, putting it in the bowl. Let me wash my hands really fast. Putting this in a warm spot. Setting a timer for an hour and a half. I'll be back. Our dough has finally spread out a little bit in our bowl. It's pretty nice. A little sticky to touch. So what we'll do now is wet our hand and give it a final little fold. We are back and our dough has definitely doubled. I'm not sure if I quite want to say tripled, but I'm calling it a day anyway. So I'm gonna grab a rubber spatula and I'll show you really fast. You know it's alive. Look at those bubbles. I hope you can see. So first I'm going to flour my surface, and I went ahead and grabbed 2 bowls, and these are going to be the final proofing bowls. I have baskets, but I try to make these videos like as much as what you would have at home. I know not everyone has bread proofing baskets at home, so bowls work perfectly. So first we'll flour our surface, and also in the oven are brown buttered chocolate chip cookies, and that will be tomorrow's video. Well, tomorrow's video. So sprinkle some flour out. Awesome. And here's where we kind of get a little messy. I'm gonna grab this little spatula, and we're going to gently put a little flour right here just so it doesn't stick. We're going to gently ease this dough out of the bowl. Oh, amazing! Looks amazing. It looks amazing. So, we don't want to work with it too much, but I'm going to take a knife and separate it in half. I'm going to make one a little bit bigger just because the cast iron pans that I'll be baking them in, one's a little bit smaller, one's a little bit bigger. So, I think we're good, but one's going to be a little smaller, and I'm going to make that one a jalapeno cheddar bread. The other one, we're keeping it classic, so I'll do the classic first. Oh, it's amazing. Awesome. So we're just going to give this one a little fold. And honestly, this is not perfect. This is not a perfect fold by any means. So I'm going to place this smooth side down in the bowl and make sure it's got flour on it, because the last thing you want is for this baby to stick. So I'm going to put this smooth side down in the bowl, and we'll set it aside. For this next little one, I'm going to do some cheese. Save a little for the top. And a good amount of jalapeno. Awesome. So for this guy, I'm going to do more of like a roll, only because it has goodies in it. Now, I'm going to tuck these little sides in. Tuck this side in. And once again, we'll place it smooth side down in the bowl. I'm going to kind of like pinch the top closed. Now, I put them smooth side down in the bowl because when we flip them over into our little baking pans, or if you bake it on a sheet tray, you want the smooth side to be up so you can kind of cut it and it'll look pretty. So these guys are gonna go for about 30 minutes just to rest. We'll preheat our oven to, let me check. So my final oven temperature is going to be 450 degrees, and I'm going to put both of my Dutch ovens in the oven. Will just got home. So I'm gonna put both of these in the oven and let them get hot for about 30 minutes, and that is key for this bread. So I'll pop those in, and then when I'm taking them out, I'll be ready to put the bread in them. Okay, we have finally reached the part where we're going to put our bread into our cast iron pans, and I just have Dutch ovens. Actually, one of them's like for soup, but it works. So you're going to want to be very careful because they're extremely hot. I'm going to grab these out of the oven. We'll start off with the bigger one because the bigger loaf of bread is going in there. Keep it shut for just a second and grab a knife because you're going to want to score the top of it gently. So make sure to be careful when you take the lid off. Go ahead and put a little bit of flour at the bottom. You can put a little on top of this. And you're just going to flip it out of the bowl. Amazing. And you're going to give it a little cut along the top. Perfect. I'll show you it real quick. This is what it looks like. And we'll pop the lid on and put it in the oven. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the jalapeno cheddar bread. And these will bake for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now, for this one, I do have that extra little bit of cheese and those few extra jalapenos. Oh, looks amazing. And just score the top gently. We will put on, let's do our cheese first. And our jalapenos. Lid on and in the oven. To start, we'll set a 30-minute timer and I'll be back. Okay friends, I'm so excited. Our loaves of bread just got out of the oven. They baked for a total of 45 minutes at 450 degrees. I'm gonna place them on this little cutting board and show you all what they look like. My gosh, they just look amazing. They have a nice little crust on the outside of them. Okay, so that's just the regular one. This baby is cheddar jalapeno. I seriously cannot wait to eat this. Our final step in this is cutting our bread. And I just want you to be very careful when cutting because, you know, if they're fresh out of the oven, they're probably really hot. Oh, beautiful crust. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's try the other one. This is the end of it, so you can only see a little bit of the cheese and jalapeno, but oh my gosh, guys. And that, my friends, is how you make fresh bread. Thanks for watching. The recipe will be in the description box below, but I would highly encourage to follow along this video in terms of how long things need to proof and blah, 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 blah. See you guys later.